So today we're going to be reviewing the stem and leaf plot. Most of you have probably seen this already. If you haven't, it's not too terrible of a type of graph to learn. So let's look at the stem and leaf plot that we are given here on the left side. This is a stem and leaf plot. It's usually created with a T-table, the left side being the stem, right side being the leaf, and we just display numerical data on it. So this stem and leaf plot shows the high temperatures for a week. So let's see, what does this information mean and how am I supposed to understand what it tells me? So to start off, we look at the key, which this 7 with the little line and the 2 represents 72 degrees. That little line is the column that divides the stem and leaf. So when I look at this right here, that's what that 7 bar 2 means, 72. So that's the first temperature. If I look at the next one, on the same row, the 7 and the 8, that represents 78 degrees. We move on to the next row. We have a whole bunch of 80s, 86, 87, 87, 88, 89. So there are two 87s here. And the last row represents 90. So there's the rest of my data. So let's go ahead and turn to the next page. Go ahead and start filling in the blanks on the data. All the stuff that's red is what you have to fill in. So a stem and leaf plot is just a convenient method to display every piece of data by showing the digits of each number. A T-chart is used to show numeric data and the distribution of the numbers, how often they repeat or show up. The stem part is anything but the very, very last number. If it's a decimal, it might be the first decimal after the first decimal number. Sometimes it can be 0, usually it will be. If you have numbers like 5, 6, 7, 8, and sometimes it can be two numbers. If you have numbers like 200, so it'd be the 2 and the 0 at the beginning of the 200. Your stems need to include all consecutive numbers in between, even if there is no data for it. The leaf, the right side, is the last digit, usually the ones place, unless you have, again, like I said earlier, decimal numbers. And they need to be organized from least to greatest. And we always want to have that key so we know what the stem and leaf together mean. All right, so if you hadn't paused it already, make sure you did. Let's go ahead and start number 1. So this data is the data that shows the points of students in the class received on a physics quiz. We have our stem and our leaf. Let's go ahead and identify our least to greatest number. So 51 would be the smallest and 100 is the largest. So that means on my stem I need a 5 through 10 for the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and the 100s. We're going to now follow with putting our key. We don't want to forget that. So we're going to put a key like 8 bar 5. That represents 85. It can be any number you want. And now we're going to go ahead and arrange all our data from least to greatest. So we're going to start by looking for the smallest number. Alright, so we know that 50 was the smallest number. Looking down the line, are there any other 50s? I see another one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a 1 for 51 and a 3. No commas are needed, just a space. Now we're going to look for the next one, the 60s. So going down the list, we have a 60 here. We have a 60 there. And we're going to go ahead and write those in. We're going to write 63 and 65. Let's go ahead and now look for the 70s down the list. Here's 74, 74, 79. So we're going to write those numbers down, 449, in that order. We're now going to look for the 80s, 82, 85, 81, 83, 81, 88, 89. So we're going to write those in order. So I have an 82, the smallest one. No, not the smallest one, there's an 81, an 82, an 83. There's an 88 and an 89. And I'm missing some of them. Hold on, let's see. So there should be 7. So I have the 82, the 85. I forgot the 85. 85, 89, 88, 89. Let's see. I have the 82, the 85, the 81, the 83, the 81. So there's two 81s, so I need another one up here. You gotta be very careful to make sure you don't miss any. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's all of them. Now the 90s. So I have a 98, 97, 93, and 90. That's 4. So 90 goes first. It's the smallest one. 93, 97, and 98. And then we have our, it looks like I forgot a 67, so I'm going to go back and add that 67 right here. So right there. And then we have our 100. The 10 are there, so I just put the 0 for the 100. So I just want to go back and double check that I didn't forget anything, but it looks like it's all there since I marked it. And I'm done with my stem and leaf plot. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So we have example 2, and this is the list of showing the data for the age of all the U.S. presidents at their first inauguration. This just goes through the 40th presidency. I believe we're at our 43rd now. So let's identify our smallest number, which is a 42. The oldest president we had was, let's find that number, looks like it might be 69, yeah. So let's go ahead and start our table in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So we're going to have a lot of numbers in our leaf, so we have to make sure we're careful for that. So let's go ahead and start that. Put our data, our key. 8 bar 5 means 85. It doesn't matter that there's no actual 85 in the data. So let's go ahead and start looking at our numbers. So let's go ahead and begin. So we know that our 40s were the smallest one, so I'm going to go through and highlight all the 40s. We have a 40 here. Let's actually use a highlighter. So we have a 40 there, 48, 46, 49, 47, 42, 43, and let's make sure that those are all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so let's go ahead and put these all in order from smallest to biggest. 42 is the smallest one. The next biggest one is 43. Then we have a 46, a 47, a 48, and 2 49s. All right, let's go on to the next one, which is the 50s. Actually, I'm going to do the 60s first because there's a whole bunch of 50s. So I'll do the 50s first, and then I'll do the 50s. All right, so sorry, that was my alarm. Let's go ahead and do the 60s. So I'm going to go down and do the 60s. So we have a 61, we have a 61 here, 68, 64, 65, 60, 62, 61, 69, and 64. So that's it for those. Alright, so we're going to put those in order. We have 60. We have 61 3 times. We have 62 once. We have 64 twice. We have 65, 68, and 69. So that's our data for the 60s. Now everything else is the 50s. Now just because it's going to take a long time to write them out, I actually have pre-done this. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you the final one. And again, make sure everything's arranged from least to greatest. So here they are. Looks a little nicer. I know that the 50s have a lot, so go ahead and pause this video and write this out. Alright, now that we have our data all written out, let's go ahead and answer some questions because it's a lot easier to answer some questions about the data if it's organized. So how many presidents were 51 years old at their inauguration? So we look at the second row, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, so the answer is 4. Next question, what age is the youngest president to be inaugurated? So we look at the top of the stem and leaf plot, and the answer is 42. What is the age of the oldest president? Look at the bottom of the data on the right. We have 69. And how many presidents were between 40 and 49 years old? So we can count all of them on the 40s row, and that is going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the last question, what is the probability of choosing a president at random that is less than 52? So when I say less than 52, I am not including 52. So we count the 40s, there were 7, plus the 50s and the 51s, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there are 13 presidents that are less than 52 out of a total of 40 presidents. Remember, the direction that said we went through the 40th presidency. So it's 13 out of 40. We divide that, we get 0.325, and we move our decimal twice, we get 32.5%. So about a third of the presidents are under 52 years old. All right, that's pretty much it for the notes. Go ahead and get started, and good luck.